by which I mean follow along. And where are we? Let's reload. Okay. Bubble, excuse me, lesson 7, bubble 1. Let's do some debugging practice. All right. So as we get further into App Lab and the curriculum, generally there's very rarely anything wrong with just hitting run as soon as you get to a new puzzle. You'll get any sort of error that they've provided for you on purpose. You'll get an idea of whether anything happens. If nothing happens, it means that's the current state. Like it just hit run and see what happens. In this case, we get a hard error, the red block. Okay, no slider at the bottom. Okay, yeah. So generally drag that all the way up or a little bit back. There's no reason to sit around and wait for the turtle. And block text mode. So all we need to do is debug the problem. Let's look at what we have. And the problem is on line 2. What do you think is wrong with line 2? Well, pretty clear that the content or I don't know, argument for the console log statement is a word, which is what we want to print, but it's supposed to be a string because green is not a variable. It's not some other introduced word. It is, we want it to print out the actual word. And so it needs to be in quotes. It is a string. 5 does not need to be in quotes because it is a number. Now, if you put 5 in quotes, it's a string that uses the numeral 5 or the number 5, but it will accept the number 5 without quotes and treat it as the value of like the concept of 5. And yeah, I think that's all we need for bubble 1. No, not a lot of heavy lifting. Okay, debug this program. Is that all we've got? Let's see what happens. And we got an error. Let's look at the block the way it's supposed to be. We have an error when main text, we try to set the text color to blue, doesn't happen. That is because blue, when we're talking about, well, anything unless we have, like I said, variables or something else, it is a string. It is the word blue. And even though we're not trying to print that word blue, AppLab is expecting the word blue in quotes to know to check for a text color to be used for that property. Because you can, and later on when we get to actual variables, which we don't really have any real variables, you can set a property to a variable, in which case it would look like whatever the word is, the name of the variable without quotes. And that's what it's trying to do when you get here. It's trying to check for something called blue, and there's nothing called blue. It just needs to be in quotes in this case. Which, as we're working through this, your best bet is to just, when you drag something out, everything will be in its correct format, more or less, meaning quotes or numbers. This is not in quotes because for the property of width, it's expecting a number, not a string, even if it was a string of the numeral. I don't think it would work. What happens if we set font size? Wow, font size is expecting 20. What happens if we do that? It still accepts 20 as a value for that. But anyway, the point is, when you switch the property to one of the color properties, it will give you the word or the value. So if we want to set a background color, it will put out whatever it's supposed to in whatever format. In this case, you can see it's supposed to be a string. And what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to debug this. What did it look like when we got here? Okay, yeah. So when we got here, we're trying to set the text color to blue, but there's no variable or other element called blue. We want the word blue in quotes. And there you go. And that is it. Okay, run this program, see how it works. Debug the program. All right. So we have nothing happening right away. We have everything in the event handler. Let's mouse over. All right. So it disappeared. It didn't really disappear. It went off of the screen. That is because the provided random XY for its location extends beyond the screen limits. So eventually, enough randomness, it will put it outside where we can see it. We need to fix it. Okay, so let's see how big the image is. The image is 200 by 200, which is fine. So we need the random, its new random X location to be 320 or 120, it doesn't really matter. And its Y to be 450, which is the total height of the screen minus its height of also 200. And now it should never go off of the screen. There you go. Okay, so we can set properties of X and Y, in which case they're looking for a number, and anytime they're looking for a number, we can give it a random number. Super easy. And bubble 4, almost done. All right, so here is an issue. You will see that when you get here, there is an event handler inside of an event handler. In fact, there are several event handlers inside of an event handler. You will almost never want this to happen. In fact, I would say never want it to happen, but absolutes are difficult to prove. I would say I've never seen an opportunity to use an event handler inside of an event handler. Some people were doing the equivalent of putting function definitions inside of function definitions, which is sort of the same thing that's happening here. You would never put a function definition inside of another definition. Okay, so here, when we get here, let's see what's happening. Okay, on event, run the program, hit the up button showing controls, then the play button, then the stop and hide controls. Without resetting, repeat the process, hit up, play, stop, down. Okay, weird happening the second time playing the music. All right, so you notice that the second time through, let's go super slow. It's playing the song multiple times. Every time through, it adds another time for it to sort of be queued up to play. So it was playing that same song several times on top of each other. And we could probably figure out why that is. I'm not sure why. I think it has to do with the fact that the stop button isn't really accessible. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. But even just looking at it, you know that we shouldn't have anything below line 7 inside of this main one. So I'm just going to highlight everything from line 7 to, well, I can't do it all. Let's just go to text mode. That'll be easier. So everything from line 7 to line 26 inclusive. And we can cut that. And actually, so I'm going to not do that because reason I'm not going to do that, that is one way that would work. The problem is if you grab the wrong close parentheses or close curly bracket or what have you, it won't work. So this is the way that you see it to begin. I'm going to just drag out the event handlers one at a time. Okay, and then this one can go out there, including the white space. And if you're concerned about messing with the syntax and stuff, you can just stick in block mode. Okay, and now when we run it, we hit play, we hit stop, close it, up, play. And I forgot to, so it works now. I'm going to reset it because there's something else I didn't point out. In the debug console, you'll notice that it actually says the phrase playing song several times because those are tied together. They're running at the same time. So we hit up. I've reset everything to the broken state. Hit play. It says playing song, stop song, down, hide controls, show controls. Hit play one time and it says playing twice. Stop. Does it say stop twice? It says stop twice. Hit it once, hit hide once. It says hide twice. And the third time through, does it say showing controls? Okay. So because showing controls is actually in the correct location, that functionality isn't bugged. But you can see that there's 3 playing songs this time. And that is one of the ways, or now this is a useful use of the debug console, of the console log. We are seeing that it is running that song 3 times. Okay, this is a visual text confirmation that we're not just hearing weird things. The playing song text is being printed in the exact same frequency, so to speak, of the play sound command. So we can see why is it running play song 3 times? Is it going to give me 3 this time? Yeah. Okay. So it only adds 1 every time you hide and show. So if we go to play now, it should say play 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Okay. So that is us using the debug console effectively. What's up? The problem is that I don't think the stop. Why is it happening? Why it's happening? I'm not entirely positive. The takeaway is that something weird is happening. We've proved it by putting console log statements and listening, and then fix it by putting them outside. As far as why, like when the program is actually accessing the different event handlers and when they're available, I'm not entirely positive. Yeah, so there you go. I'm not sure, honestly. All right, so bubble 5, here we have, you have 3 options. And I'm not sure what it would look like on my end, depending on which one you choose. What happens is finish, you go to the next one. Yeah, let's go back. So let's just go through them. You need to do at least one of them. Hold on a second. Let's see how checky I can get with this. Can I see? Nice. If I go to your bubble 5, and I see. Yeah, I think I can see them all. All right, so yeah, you're gonna do all of them. It's not very much, and we have plenty of time. And it's just sort of awkward to access. Regardless. Okay, so let's take a look at bubble 5A. So we get here, we run the app, and there's already an error. Rooster img. Click. Okay, so we've got some obvious issues. Rooster image is what we're looking for, and that is not the name of this image. If you mouse over, you can see it's called Rooster image. And this is an opportunity to point out that typing is a good way to get typos. So we click on the drop down and choose from the listed options. Technically, you could go back and change the name of the picture to Rooster image and misspell it identically, in which case it would also work. Rooster image, but clearly that's not what's intended. So let's just spell things correctly. And so the rooster image now will be accessible. See, does mute work? Nope, the mute button doesn't work. Although that wouldn't be that terribly difficult. It'd be pretty advanced to put in a mute button. And so clearly, the pig sound happens when we click there and it says cow. The rooster sound and rooster words happen on pig. It says cow. Does this say rooster? Okay. So this one doesn't. All right. So let's just go through this. We know we want the same basic properties to change anytime we click on the thing. And we want the correct sound and the correct text. The cow seems to work correctly. The rooster image, now that we've changed the name, needs the rooster sound and the pig. So we're just going to switch these. Switch that play sound and switch that play sound. So the pig image gets the pig sound. And then the text, we want this thing right here is called, oh, wait, hold on. Is this app name? All right. So what was happening is we click here and it was setting this label to the wrong text. It was setting the wrong label to the wrong text, which is interesting. But we want to make sure we are using animal text, which is the name of this label here. So we want to set the property of animal text, set its text to rooster. And down here, we want to set animal text to pig, and we could have just dragged those around if needed. And lovely. And I do believe that is it. Let's go back to 5, which I'm pretty sure. Yeah. If you hit finish, you'll go to the check for understanding. Don't do that yet. Okay, we get here. And what do we have? We have an app that doesn't break right away. It does play a sound, which I'm going to get rid of. And we hit event details. We get a new screen, apparently, because it says set screen. And we get a button that doesn't do anything. All we need to do is add program so that this go back button goes back. Let's take a look at design mode. We'll go to detail screen, and we can see that this button is called go back button, which we probably could have deduced from the choosing of elements, but we don't want to change this one. We want to add one. And on event, go back button is clicked. We just want to set the screen to home screen. Okay, so we will get lots of different user interface control blocks, like set text and set color and what have you, but set property is all of them. You just choose which property. Like in this case, is screen one of the options? It should be. I suppose set screen is not one of the options, but all the other ones, text, color, show, hide, are all in the set property. This is the generic one, but there'll be other ones later. Here, we just need a new event handler with go back button when it is clicked to go to the home screen. And now, if we speed it up, it should work just fine. Okay, and let's go to the last one, the Mood Minder app, and see what happens. I'm feeling it's going to be some sounds. Okay, excited doesn't do anything. That's awesome. And so we have calm button click, tired button click, and we need one for excited button. What you'll notice when you get here, that when you click on one button, it now has a border. When you click on the other one, it has a border, and the other one does not have a border. So what it's doing is setting the border radius, border width property for each of them. Whenever you click on either one, okay, so obviously when you click on the COM button, it sets the COM button border width to 2, but it also sets the other ones to 0. Okay, even within the COM button event handler, it's setting the properties of 2 other unrelated things, because after it's running, when you click on this, you want the other 2 to be cleared out to give that effect of which one is actually active. Okay, so for tired button, when you click on tired button, it changes its border width to 0 and changes the other 2 buttons back to, or changes its border width to 2 and resets the other 2. All we need to do is essentially duplicate one of these with different values. So I'm just going to copy this last one. We'll bring it down to the bottom and change most of the things. So the last one is called excited button. We need to change on event excited button click. We want excited button border width to go to 2, and we want the other ones to go to 0. So now all right, so we obviously have an issue with stop sound. Uh-oh. That's not good. Okay, so some reason that shouldn't, I wonder if that was like a true bug. It still should have stopped the sound. Okay, so it's only stopping the most recent sound, and because it has two copies of the same one, it's not stopping both of them. So what we need to do is, so we've got the bubbles going. We need a new image because right now we've just copied the tired image. Let's find does it give us some, let's see, what is the first one on free images? Please be appropriate. I can't imagine it not being appropriate. Maybe I'll do this off screen, just for some plausible deniability. Okay, so we're gonna do right click. Well, not on the links. Copy. Are these not actual images? Oh, okay, so there's links, and I want copy image address. Okay, maybe this isn't a good one. Let's just do a good old fashioned Google image search. We're excited. And images, and so we'll go right click, copy image address. I think we can use Kioria. And that's what we're doing here is copy image address, not copy image. And so we are all the way down here at excited button, set its image property to my new one. Okay, and I really don't know why that's how stop sound should stop it. Stop sound and then play sound. Stop sound and play sound. Either way, let's see what happens. We should be able to get a new sound. Achievements. Lovely. Okay. And not on a loop. Let's see. Yeah, all right, so that works. And the buttons are good. They're different width, show up. You could also change the color maybe to make it look like the button is indented. There's a lot of style properties that can add a lot, make it look professional. And so we have text. Let's give it a new text just to make sure we know it's working. And I think that's it for this one. Okie dokie. And so then the last is a check for understanding. Yeah, this is just a check-in. You can answer this in bullet form if you want. And one thing you found interesting or enjoyed, and one thing you're confused about. So do that. Okay. Any questions about any of this? So next time we are going to go ahead and I guess I'll open it up now because why not? We're going to finish or spend, I guess, 2 class periods. Maybe this will be the catch up. Or I guess we have half days next week, right? So that's awesome. Sure, we'll get a lot done. I'll go ahead and open up. I probably should have done it before. Open up lessons 8, 9, and 10, which are all the same. That's the same block. And visible, visible, visible. And when you get there, you'll be able to see your app that you designed in lesson 4, assuming you have something done, which is a disappointing 50% or so. of you. And now you have access to the actual blocks. And I'm sure I said this before. I'm pretty sure I said this before. When you're designing these things, the first thing to do is create the screens. Okay, your various screen info, screen, quiz screen 1, quiz screen 2, whatever. The second thing to do is to bring in the buttons, name the buttons, and have the event handlers set screens. Before you add the content, well, a lot of you have the content, but make sure that your buttons allow the user to traverse from screen to screen, and then get going with more advanced stuff or more design stuff, like changing colors and stuff like that. Okay, and so lesson 8, 9, 10, like I said, are all the same. They're just, however many days we spend on it, which will be at least, because we have a half. What does it look like when we get back? Half. I suppose just one more class, and then we'll get going on the next unit. One more full block. So this is all going to be moved back, so that you will have time for that. And we'll do U3L08 through L10, 22-23. And we'll put this due date. Then this is 5 and 6, or 8, 6 and 7. That'll be one. I guess it'll be two things, but we'll have it due the same time, which is plenty of time considering we're going to have a video of this momentarily. And that's it.